Welcome back to the show. Before we dive in, if you're finding value in these episodes, hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Today, we're blowing up everything you think you know about calories. Here's a question that might shock you. Are 200 calories really just 200 calories? Your fitness tracker says yes. Your nutritionist probably says yes. But what if I told you they're dead wrong? What if the secret to understanding your body isn't about counting every single calorie, but about understanding when, how, and why those calories actually matter? Stick with me for the next few minutes, and I promise you'll never look at food the same way again. The big calorie myth. Let's start with the biggest lie in nutrition. Calories in, calories out, and you're done. Sounds simple, right? Eat less, move more, lose weight. But here's the thing. Your body isn't a simple calculator. It's a complex biological machine that treats different calories in completely different ways. Think about it this way. Would you put diesel fuel in a gasoline car just because they're both fuel? Of course not. Yet we're told that 200 calories of protein work exactly the same as 200 calories of sugar in our bodies. That's not just wrong, it's dangerously wrong. Why context changes everything. Here's where it gets interesting. Your body is run by hormones, insulin, cortisol, adrenaline. These chemical messengers decide what happens to every single calorie you eat. And here's the kicker. These hormones respond differently depending on what you eat, when you eat it, and what you've been doing with your body. Let's break this down with a real example. You eat 200 calories of protein after a workout. Your body says, "Perfect, let's use this to repair and build muscle tissue." Now you eat 200 calories of protein while binge-watching Netflix all day. Your body might say, "Well, we don't really need muscle repair right now, so let's use some of this for energy instead." Same calories. The protein Power Play protein has about 4 calories per gram. But here's what most people don't understand. These aren't really fuel calories like carbs or fat. They're building blocks. When you're training hard and eating enough protein, your body uses it like construction materials. It's building muscle, repairing tissue, making enzymes and hormones. This is structural work, not fuel. But if you're sedentary and overeating, some of that protein can get converted to glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. Now it becomes fuel. But this process is expensive. It costs your body energy to make this conversion. So do those protein calories really count the same way today if they're going into muscle that might last for years? Context is everything. The fat facts now. Let's talk about fats. 9 calories per gram, the most energy-dense macronutrient. But fats aren't just fuel either. They're structural components of every single cell in your body. They make your hormones. They protect your organs. So when does dietary fat stop being structural and start being fuel? You guessed it. It depends on context. If you're eating high-carb meals with added fats, those fats are almost certainly getting stored as body fat. 9 calories per gram straight to your fat cells for future use. That's what shows up on the scale. But drop your carbs for a few days and keep insulin low? That same dietary fat gets burned quickly for your body's normal metabolic processes. The ketosis advantage. Keep your carbs low long enough and you enter ketosis, what many people call a metabolic advantage. In this context, fats fuel most of your body's energy needs, either directly as fatty acids or as ketone bodies, which are byproducts of fat metabolism. Here's the beautiful part for anyone trying to lose unwanted fat. Your body gets rid of excess ketones through your urine. With gas prices over $4 a gallon, isn't that like throwing away free fuel? Your body also uses ketones to create glucose for your brain through gluconeogenesis, an expensive, inefficient process that burns even more energy. The carbohydrate. Truth finally, let's talk carbohydrates and their 4 calories per gram. All carbs eventually become glucose, blood sugar. Unlike protein and fat, glucose has only one job: fuel. It gets burned immediately or stored for later use. Your brain, red blood cells, and nerve cells prefer glucose, though they can use ketones too. Working muscles love glucose when it's available, but they're flexible. They can use other fuels too. If glucose isn't burned immediately, it first gets stored as glycogen in muscles and liver. When those tanks are full, excess glucose gets converted to fatty acids and stored in fat cells. The critical point about carbs. Here's something crucial. Carbohydrates aren't used as structural components in your body. They're just fuel. And glucose in your bloodstream is actually toxic if it's not burned immediately. For reference, normal blood glucose represents only about 1 teaspoon of sugar dissolved in your entire bloodstream. That's it. 1 teaspoon spread throughout your whole body. Your body works overtime to keep blood sugar in this tight range because too much glucose is literally poisonous. Insulin, the master controller. This is where insulin comes in. Insulin's job is to get glucose out of your bloodstream fast, either into muscle cells or fat cells. And here's something that might surprise you. Humans can live perfectly well without consuming any carbohydrates at all. Your body has multiple ways to create glucose from the fats and proteins you eat. This is why paleo and low-carb approaches work so well. Unless your lifestyle includes lots of endurance activities, there's not much reason to prioritize carbohydrates. So what's the big takeaway here? Understanding how these metabolic processes work means you don't need to obsess over counting calories. If you're eating real food most of the time, think paleo style, and doing it in the right context, your body will naturally adjust to a healthy, comfortable weight without much effort. Your body is incredibly smart when you give it the right inputs. Let's summarize. Here are the key points to remember. Calories and context. Calories aren't just numbers. The context in which you consume them matters more than the total count. Proteins and fats. Not all calories are equal. Your body uses proteins and fats in specific ways that go far beyond simply providing energy. Insulin and carbs. Insulin is vital for managing blood glucose, and carbohydrates aren't as essential as we've been taught, especially in a paleo or low-carb lifestyle. Metabolic control. You can influence your metabolism through your food choices and physical activity. Change your context. The key is changing the context of your meals and understanding what your body actually needs. This means eating real food, maintaining a balanced approach, and adapting based on your needs and activities. When you do this, you don't need to worry so much about every single calorie you consume. Your body will function more efficiently and healthily. Closing, and there you have it. Context is everything. Now that you understand this, you can make smarter food choices and focus on a healthy, balanced life. Before you go, if this episode opened your eyes to something new, please hit that subscribe button and share this podcast with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us reach more people with these life-changing insights. What's your biggest takeaway from today's episode? I'd love to hear from you in the comments or on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the calories, it's about the context.